Are you just trying to live, laugh, or love? Or are you just trying to do all of the above? This is the podcast for you. If you're an aspiring comic, a headlining comic, a class clown, or just an average bro or doe looking for a good time, you, my friend, are in the right place. Welcome to the magical world of Just Trying to Podcast. Here we go.
Welcome, triers, doers, and everything in betweeners. This is Just Trying to Podcast with your host, Mike Tony.
Interesting.
This week we have two very special guests to the podcast. We have Jimmy Chuckles himself.
What up, y'all?
And the crowd goes wild. And none other than Christopher Glotzzy. Glotzback.
That's right. Hello.
Dang.
Good to be here.
Am I considered a guest at this point, or like, do I get like kind of bumped up status? I feel like I've been on here like
I think you have to be on 7.
7. You're just like, so what were you for the first 6 weeks? You were nothing.
Yeah, I was acting as a host. So you can act. You can be. I was an acting host.
Acting host. Okay, I can go with that.
Yeah. I don't know what to call you in that, but we'll figure out.
Kyle, Chuck, Jimmy Chuckles.
So I'm here with two non-comedians, but very funny people. I always like to have comedians on the show, or just funny people. You two are some of the funniest people I know. Chuck, Jimmy Chuckles, you bring a lot of wit and witty banter, and Christopher is maybe one of the best storytellers I've ever met.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not trying to spill the tea.
Gas him up, baby.
Gas me up.
Gas. Juice.
Do you guys have any tea to spill?
What?
Do you have any tea to spill? Have you heard that phrase before? Tea to spill?
No.
Really?
I just wanted to do something real grabby at the beginning of this episode. Spill the tea?
Make that a thing.
I'm not like into anything fun. Like I don't know any juicy tea, anything like that. I don't have anything.
Okay.
Sorry, man. Do you?
Nope.
Juicy tea?
Sometimes you have an idea of how to start a podcast, and then you just got to roll right through it because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm going to spill the tea.
So I was at a coffee shop. Well, I'm on this Midwest tour right now. Started in Kansas City, ending here in Muncie, Indiana.
So
We're not in
Missouri part of
Muncie.
the Midwest?
Come on.
Oh, sorry. We're in Yorktown, right outside of Muncie,
We
Indiana.
upgraded.
Do you consider Missouri part of the Midwest?
Missouri is part of the lower Midwest. Yeah, it's the lowest state of the Midwest.
Oh, you don't consider Kansas a part of the Midwest?
Well, I think Kansas and Missouri, we're right. I think Missouri goes lower than Kansas because we border Oklahoma, so we're the lowest part.
Oh, I see what you
So I
mean
would
by
consider Kansas, but we are the lowest
that.
state.
You guys consider Ohio part of the Midwest?
Ohio is the upper right of the Midwest.
Gotcha. I don't really consider it a part of the Midwest.
I would.
I think even like the United States government recognizes one of the Dakotas as part of the Midwest, or maybe both of the Dakotas.
I definitely say I would almost consider South Dakota part of like the Midwest, but like Ohio is just so far east. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But
it's just so far.
It's just we have we have the West, we have the East, we have the South, and we have the Midwest. Those are the 4 regions of our country.
And if I'm going to be honest, I just don't really want to be associated with Ohio.
Sure.
Well, we just have to be.
Yeah, I'm just telling you personally, like how I feel.
Oh,
That I just don't want to be associated with Ohio. But that's just me. Sorry, LeBron.
There's the tea.
There's the tea. I was chilling at a coffee shop this week. This kind of got me thinking about just maybe where our culture is going today. This young man rolled up into a coffee shop without a shirt on and asked for an application to apply for a job. And I kind of thought, like, is this where our culture is?
They didn't say they wouldn't hire him.
Yeah, like he couldn't order, but he was like, I know I can't order anything. I don't have a shirt on, but can I have an application to apply here as a barista?
It's bold.
Did they give him one?
They told him to go online and
Okay,
fill
that's
it out.
why that makes sense. I was kind of crazy that people have like physical applications anymore.
Yeah. But what is crazier, to have a physical application or to show up and ask for a job application without a shirt on?
Were you in Lexington?
No, I was in Kansas City, Missouri.
If you were in Lexington, that would totally
Sure,
make sense
yeah.
to me.
It's like
they'd probably hire
you're
him on
hired.
the spot. What coffee shop?
I don't want to disclose what coffee shop it was on air. I'll tell you off air.
Well,
I don't
want
wanna
to
spill that kinda tea.
Like, if it was like, like if this is oddly correct and somebody comes in, shout out to Oddly. I love you guys. I love what you do.
Best roaster in Kansas City, Missouri. Oddly correct.
Oh, that is true. I'd say like probably top 5, maybe top 5 roaster in the country.
So are
Top
you
10.
saying it depends where the coffee shop is?
Like I think we've talked about like maybe like one of your kind of shticks in comedy is kind of relating. I hope I'm allowed to say this, is relating like you growing up in Lexington to kind of like living in Seattle now.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like if you like showed up without a shirt on in Lexington or in Seattle, maybe so. But like if you show up without a shirt, maybe in downtown New York to like some bougie coffee shop, I don't think they. I think that would be like this is kind of.
But some bougie coffee shop in Seattle.
So is it like there's like I feel like there's two kinds of bougie coffee shops, like if we call it bougie. I don't know how we define it, So there's like there's like the specialty coffee that this is like an Apple store, and then this is like kind of a like it's a little bit more grungier. It's a little bit less hard to define. It's maybe more cozy, or maybe it's more grungy, or maybe it's more like oddly doesn't feel like an Apple store. Messenger kind of feels like an Apple store. Those are a little bit different. Or if you go to what is it, Dalmius Coffee.
What's the actual name?
Dalmius
Coffee.
Dalmius Coffee. Maybe that would be more of a shirtless coffee shop.
Chris, you got any takes on this?
Man, I just think
your wife is rolling up right now.
Wearing shirts.
Oh, my wife is here.
We're currently sitting in her parking spot. Does she know that we're doing this?
No clue. She asked me what we were doing today. I said, not a thing.
Not a thing.
We're just playing around.
That basically equates to
trying
what
to
I think we've
podcast.
done today.
I just think I just expect unexpected all the time. And look, these dogs are going to be in the background.
Hey,
We're going to have to cut
too,
this
man.
audio.
Amen.
And so I just think people rolling up to coffee shops to get an application without a T-shirt, why not? Like that, I actually appreciate that. I would probably be more likely to hire somebody who comes in without a T-shirt on asking for a job application, because that's the kind of person I want working for me in a coffee shop.
What about that kind of person?
Well, it's like I'm going to be I'm me. I'm authentic. And that's the thing that I don't think we have very often is people who are going to be authentic to themselves. They're just trying to mold into something, to fit a standard.
You didn't even address your wife. You would not break from that thought.
Yeah, I just
you didn't even look at her.
I love you,
It's like you avoided eye contact.
Well, because I knew that if I made eye contact with her, I would blush. Because I think so highly of my wife, and so I knew I would be distracted if I saw her.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
But yeah, that guy or gal, whoever did that, showing up shirtless to that interview.
I think it's pretty safe to say the person who rolled up without a shirt on was a man.
Okay.
I think he also said it was a guy. But that's
okay. I couldn't remember. But all that to say is I really believe that person is authentically them. That's just who they are.
I definitely believe that to be true.
Yeah, and so that's the kind of person.
But is all authenticity good for all places and all spaces?
I think that we are supposed to be who we are. I think John Mayer wrote a song about that was pretty popular.
How does that go?
I don't know, actually. But I think that's part of it. I have to look it up. You put me on the spot. I looked at my wife, and then I got distracted. So
you just whip it out John Mayer quotes, but you can't
I've been listening
really
to a lot of John Mayer lately.
John Mayer.
Yeah.
That's a real
What's your
John
favorite
Mayer
John Mayer? What's your
Gravity.
top 5 favorite John Mayer
I don't know
songs?
if now this is now you're putting me on the spot. I've been listening to a lot of John Mayer, but I don't look at the song title. So it's like if I heard the song, I'd be like,
I like this one. This is one of them.
Yeah, that's right. So Gravity, number 1 for sure for me. Gravity. I think that John Mayer.
Can you name another song?
Can you name?
No.
Just name
sure.
one other song.
I can name a lot of John Mayer. Okay, so back up.
Okay, let's hear
The
it.
second is this isn't my favorite. Second favorite. This is just the
one
one
that
that I
you
This
know.
is just a top 2 of ones I
Your
can
Body
name.
is a Wonderland. Okay.
Is that the actual name of the song?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, the listeners will fact check you.
Okay, the third is a cover of Free Falling by Tom Petty. I think he does a better job than Tom Petty. of Free
That's
Falling.
a hot take.
That is but he did it better. John Mayer did
That's
it
a
better.
hot take.
So those are three songs. I could just give me a couple more minutes. I listened to him. This is maybe bad for me to say, but John Mayer is something to listen to in the background. Okay, and it's soothing. But you're not like, I don't know, you're not listening to it as like the centralized element of like, this is what I'm doing. It's good background. I'm working on work, writing something up, trying to think, journal.
I found it odd. I'm trying to think of where this was. Because what coffee shops have we gone to? Because you're bringing up an excellent point, Chris. You were talking about John Mayer, excellent background music. Something that I don't tend to think is excellent background music. I think the music is fine. Is Queen.
Yeah.
That's who sings "Fat Bottom Girls."
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
So that's what ultimately gave us the idea to sing "Flat Bottom Fields."
Yep.
And it was playing at a coffee shop, and I found it very odd that they were playing Queen. And I think we were in a coffee shop recently where they were playing Queen, but it would have had to have been Sump, who I don't think was playing Queen.
Could have been Sump.
Or Coffee Hound. One of the two was playing. I found it so odd. I was like, oh, this is so.
Yep. I'm gonna go with Sump on this one.
Sump. Okay.
Final answer.
Yeah.
Locking it in.
Sump. Do you remember that happening?
Nope. I'm just guessing that it was Sump over Coffee Hound.
Yeah, I don't know.
Christopher, before we went live on this the show, you were complaining about something that you're really good at doing. Just complaining. You were complaining about. I just like to point out your strengths. I feel like I harp on your weaknesses quite often.
I appreciate.
I want to highlight your strengths. You were complaining about how we are as a culture unimpressed.
Yeah, I don't.
Is that quoting you, Greg?
I maybe this is a different discussion, but I don't know if I complain very often. First of all, and secondly, I don't know if it was a complaint. It was just an observation.
What's wrong with complaining?
Yeah, I don't know if there's.
What is observational comedy?
Okay, what is it? Like,
No, I'm just saying observational comedy isn't really complaining, but it could be construed as complaining.
I see.
Like you'd be like, "Oh, comedians just," but we're just trying to observe what's happening around us and like what is true about that and making light of it or making fun of the things that we observe. Isn't complaining in like the same spirit. It's a different spirit.
I see. Yeah.
It's the spirit.
It isn't critical. It isn't.
Well, it could be critical, but it's all in the spirit of I want to make someone else laugh today. Like that's like the heart of comedy, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So you're just observing. You're not complaining. Got it.
Yeah. So
comedian at heart, Christopher Glotzback. Glotzzy.
So the reason that I started thinking about this was a couple of months ago. I work for a church, pastor at a church, and
How big is your church?
a couple thousand people. Okay? It's just I like to say that it's a small country church. All right, shout out Union Chapel. You can go look it up. Small country church.
Tell people that.
Yeah, I do tell people that. And our children's pastor had a baby. Shout out Amanda and Sophia, her baby. And so she was on maternity leave. And so I filled in a few weekends for her. And I am a mediocre magician. Okay, I'm not good. I'm okay. And I thought that it would be a good idea to learn a new magic trick for the kids. They're pre-K to third grade. Okay? And I'm up on stage doing this card trick. And it's a pretty good card trick. Like, I don't want to brag. I don't want to boost myself up. But it's a pretty good card trick where you rip up a card and you show them that it's ripped up and then you restore it. You bring the card back to wholeness. And that was, the whole message, that God makes us whole. And so I'm doing this trick, and there's a little second grader on the front row. And I rip up the card. I'm being dramatic about it. I rip up the card. And then as I restore it, this little second grader, I'm sure he's going to be an impressive person one day. He galvanizes everyone around me, and the whole group, there's 60 kids around, start booing me. And they just start saying, "Boo! You suck! We know that you didn't actually rip up a card. You suck!" And they just start booing me.
Did they really say you suck?
They do. This
kid. I think that's what you heard. I'm not sure if these.
No. Oh my
Dude,
gosh.
growing up, I could not say the S word. I could not say that S word growing up.
Listen. it's my story, and I was I was there. Okay, but they did.
This is
okay?
that classic comedian, like a little over.
Yeah,
over
you got
exaggeration.
it's hyperbolic.
Okay.
All right. If I said, hey, you're not very good, the story wouldn't be as
But
good.
did they
You're
actually?
not very good.
Yeah, quit it. You stop. You know,
Did they boo you though?
They did boo me, and they did say that you suck it. This is not a hyperbolic story.
No
I
embellishment here.
I do embellish a
So
lot of
you
stories.
just said that it was hyperbolic and then came back. I like it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I just started thinking, like, why? Like, these kids, they aren't impressed with much anymore. And then I started thinking about that as our culture as a whole. I don't think that there are many times where things happen where we're like, man, that was impressive. You think about, like, a lot of things. The NBA, Stephen Curry shooting crazy three-pointers from way behind the line. And it going in, you're like, it is what it is. You know? Like, that is what it is. This is getting crazy.
Your dogs
man.
have found us.
My 2 dogs are trying to get in here. But yeah, do you guys sense that? Do you guys experience that people just aren't impressed?
Yeah, I think it's because we have access to so much. We've seen so much of the world from our couches that even when we're there in person, it's like, well, I've seen something like this before. Whereas before, and even like music, we have access to music. You know, on your smartphone. Most people have those these days.
Sure.
Or a computer, or like it would be hard to even access music in the same way. Now, obviously, the radio changed the game, but that's just one way I think it accelerated with the invention of the radio. But then now we have so much access to, through the interwebs, anything happening across. Like you see someone do like an incredible athletic feat, where you're watching a game, from your couch. It'd be hard for you to do that before television or before the internet, even really, to see all of these incredible acts of athleticism or magic. Even, how often would you see a magician pre-television?
Well, they probably more back then. It's kind of weird now. I mean, there were magicians.
Well, I'm just trying to say that's what was like so impressive. Like maybe these kids have like seen someone like teleport
on TikTok or whatever. That is why I think in the Olympics, not to change the subject, is that when we're watching the Olympics, all of them are competing at the highest level, and it isn't very impressive. You're like watching these people run a 100-meter dash in 9 seconds, and you're like, whatever. But if we like randomly drafted people from all over the continent and all over the world to go and have to be in the heat with these athletes just to kind of show how impressive it is. So, like, your dad.
You don't think the Olympics are impressive?
No, but like what I'm communicating is
we should do that with the Olympics.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is it doesn't look impressive. Like, how crazy is it to run a 100-meter dash in under 10 seconds is unbelievable. But I think that people are like, oh, everybody's doing it. There's 8 people competing and they're all doing it. But if Mike's dad got drafted to go and compete,
Glenn's just taking random shots on this podcast.
you know what I mean? Like, and watching him run. There's just an average Joe, an average guy competing alongside them. Then maybe we'd be able to compare greatness. You know what I mean?
No, I think that's a really good point. I think that even with comedy, people will see someone go up and be really funny on stage and like, dude, I could do that. And then they sign up for an open mic and then they just bomb. Yeah. Like, it's like, they're like, oh, I'm going to think of something funny. Or they spend time to write material and they get up like, wow, this is actually really hard to make someone laugh. Like at the water cooler at work, I'm the funniest guy. But whenever you're in that situation where people are expecting you to be funny, it's really hard.
I believe that, man.
Yeah, I've been reading this book by Jerry Seinfeld. Maybe you guys have heard of it. Is This Anything?
I've never. By who?
Jerry Seinfeld. Have you heard of him before?
I've heard of him, yeah.
He had like a really popular...
The Bee Movie?
He's in that.
Yeah, he's like the main character of the Bee Movie, yeah. That's where I've heard of him before.
That's crazy.
Go on, though. You've been reading this book.
I've been reading this book. And he kind of he before the book is like a compilation of a bunch of jokes or like half-baked jokes. I actually don't know much about the book. I'm like 2 chapters in, but the first chapter is kind of setting up like about his journey in comedy as one of the most successful comedians alive today, I would say. And there's this quote that I wrote down. It's like he's talking about his comedy experiences, and there's this direct quote I really resonated with. He said, "What if I can't? What if I'm not funny? I remember thinking, well, but I wouldn't have to be that funny anyway. I would just have to be funny enough to buy a loaf of Wonder Bread and a jar of Skippy peanut butter a week. I could easily survive on that." And he goes on to say, without realizing it, of course, this attitude is the exact right way to start out in the world of comedy. Expect nothing and accept anything. This idea of, I know I'm doing a hard shift here, but I wanted to circle back because how many homes do you own?
Hey, man. 4.
Okay,
I was gonna try to justify it, but I'm just gonna roll with it. Man. We own 4.
I live in Muncie.
Yeah. They're real cheap. If you want to afford a home, move to Muncie. All right, and we'll help you out. I know a good realtor.
Yeah. So you own 4 homes. I own 0. And how many own?
I own 2 cats.
You own 2 cats. I actually own 4 cars. I own as many cars as you do houses.
That's right, baby.
Dang, you have 4 cars? You really counting the whatchamacallit as a car?
Okay, I have 4 vehicles. A
Okay.
moped isn't a car.
Yeah, it's like he has a moped.
I have 4
Right.
licensed motor vehicles.
Nice, I only have 1.
You pay insurance on
Wow,
those?
man, my life is really amounted to that. He has 4 cars. Or 4 motorized vehicles.
Sure.
You have 2 motorized vehicles and 4 homes. I have 1 motorized vehicle.
But 2 cats.
That's true. I do have 2 cats.
All right.
But you have like 18 dogs, so.
We do have 13 dogs. If you'd like to buy one, Glots of Doodles on Facebook. Look us up.
Lots of doodles. I'll put that link in the show notes.
Thank you, man.
And I hear that you can even have people ship dogs across the country. So you
I
don't
will
need to
get if you're watching and you're on the West Coast, I will hop on a plane and deliver your dog to you if you'd like one. I mean, why wouldn't you want a dog just wanting to be with you all the time? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
But you were talking.
So I'm tying this tapestry. So it seems like I'm out of left field, but I promise it's all coming together. Okay, so you own 4 houses, I own 4 motor vehicles, and you own 2 cats. So, all right. So what I was trying to say to tie back to the Jerry Seinfeld, he's talking about he just needs to be funny enough to afford PB&J, essentially, right? Mm-hmm. And you own 4 houses, I own 4 motor vehicles, and you own 2 cats. Someone hears that, someone could be really impressed to hear, because we've done similar jobs for most of our lives. You could hear that.
A lot of people hear 2 cats and they're like, "Damn, that guy's successful."
Yeah,
I want to be like that guy.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's all relative. Like, if you are just some Joe Schmo and you can't even afford a cat, you're like, "Wow, that guy has 2 cats." Like, if he doesn't know about us, he's like, "Wow, this guy's really doing well in life. He can afford."
Go downtown and pick up a cat for 3 guys.
But you got to keep it alive because you got to feed it, right? There's a lot of money and resources that go into that, right? Okay, for me, I do pay insurance on all. Well, I just took my insurance off my moped because we're about to sell it. If you're in Seattle, Washington, looking to buy a moped, check me out.
Man, where does sell it so crazy?
Yeah, this is like a lot of advertisements. So like someone would
a lot of self promotion here.
maybe someone only has 2 cats. That's all they can afford. Like, and then they hear about me. Like, wow, that guy's really doing well for himself. Yeah. He can afford 4 motor vehicles, and then
people often say that about me. It really looks like you're doing well for yourself.
But then they look at me and Christopher and they're like, "Wow, 2 guys the same age. This guy only has 4 cars. This guy has 4 houses." Yeah, like, sure. Wow, that's really impressive. But we've all decided what is our PB&J that we can that we're just trying to get along with. If your PB&J is 2 cats, mine's 4 cars, yours is 4 houses.
Sure.
We're all defining our own success. And I just wanted to just give some perspective for us and for the listeners on really just chasing your dreams.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Don't let your dreams be dreams. What is your PB&J? Maybe you're an aspiring comedian. Maybe you're an aspiring pastor like my friend Glotzzy. or you're an aspiring cat owner like my friend Jimmy Chuckles.
But for Kyle, I feel like we're really throwing this guy under the bus.
No, man, it's great.
No, but I feel like one of his aspirations that I feel like he's pretty close to is with coffee.
Oh, yeah.
You got to promote your coffee, man.
Yeah.
Normal Coffee Co.
Yeah, normal.
Yeah, you time for your self-promotion.
Yeah, my
here.
self-promotion.
You have a
be on the
website?
lookout in the near future, maybe the far future. Normal Coffee Roasters.
I love it, man.
Could be happening.
But it's not happening yet. Is there an Instagram page people could look at or anything?
No, we don't have anything.
Just
Just
keep
an
it up
idea.
here. That's the most beautiful place.
Actually,
for it.
if you look up on roastworld.com, my Normal Coffee Roasters is on Roastworld, and you can check out my roasts there. Now, you can't try them, you can't see them, but you can see a chart of the temperatures of which my beans once were.
I like it.
Yeah.
But also something that comes up in that quote from Jerry Seinfeld is really how fear can hold us back from chasing what we want to do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you want me to say something? I just really resonate with that. I like that we use the word resonate so much. I really resonate with that. I oftentimes, like, especially like with coffee roasting, since we were talking about it, like sometimes I feel so insecure while I'm doing it because I want to be good. I like really want to be good at doing this. I want to, like, I have like a very high bar for like what I want this to be. Like, I want this to be impressive, you know, like if we're just keep linking into this impressiveness, you know, our friend Karis, shout out to Karis, used to make fun of Mike and me and say, "Do you guys actually like coffee?" Like, I never hear you guys say that you like a cup of coffee. And I think it is like I have a really high bar. And I think that high bar does like kind of prevent me from, or at least makes me take pause in that, because it's like I want to be good at this. I want to make a good product. I want to make a product that I'm really proud of. Like, I want to take I want to brew it up, take a sip of it, and be like, man, this is good. And
Has it happened yet?
yeah, it has. I think people have told me that my coffee is good.
Does it keep you from wanting to share it with other people? Like, because you're like insecure, like, is this good enough to like put my name on it out into the world?
That's a good question. I think I'm more worried about myself. Because coffee is like just so varied, you know, like comedy, like, even like being a pastor, like, you know, I feel like there's going to be some people that just don't like you, you know, like there's going to be like, no matter how hard I try, you know, like Meg is not going to like my coffee that much because she just likes dark roast. And so I can recognize that I'm not going to like everybody, but it's like, I really want to be like, man, what I'm putting out there, like, I want to have my stamp of approval that it's like, oh, I think this is like a really high quality cup of coffee that I'm really proud to serve. And I think that's just like, what if I make something and I just am not good at it? What if it doesn't taste good? What if nobody ever buys my coffee? That's like a little bit of a worry, but I think a lot of it is like internal. Is like, I want to be proud of what I'm doing rather than other people. I mean, I think, granted, like, people care. Like, if you said like, hey, this is a good cup of coffee, you know, I think that means a lot to me. You know, like, I think people that are like my friends, like, I do think that outside validation feels good.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So bringing it back, tying it all back to people not being impressed with much anymore. Do you think that we're heading in a good direction? Like, because if everybody, for me, like, for example, I have such a low, like, expectation for anyone. So I'm just always champion people. Like, you got up today, like, you're doing awesome. You know, like, great job. Like, I'm so encouraging to people. And so, like, for my wife, you know, when I encourage her, she'll communicate to me, like, you encourage me too much. Like,
Whenever she gets out of bed, you say, "Good job, honey. You got out of bed today."
yeah, like
It
she's
sounds
like,
a little
doesn't
demeaning.
yeah, but, like, I mean it, though.
Yeah,
you know what I
you're
mean?
trying
Like,
to be encouraging.
I'm
That
trying to be
reminds me of
encouraging.
the meme of like the little girl rubbing the dog's back while he's taking a dump and says, "Nice job pooping."
Exactly, that's me. You know, like I'm doing that.
You're that little girl.
You're a little girl, and Brittany's the pooping dog.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm asking the question of like, do you think that people not being impressed by much anymore is actually a good thing? Because we're kind of shifting the tide of higher expectation, which hopefully would produce higher and better results. And so we're kind of weeding out the things that aren't good enough. You know, like somebody showing up to a coffee shop without their shirt on for a job application. You know, like maybe that isn't who we're wanting to hire.
Like maybe if you come in, the guy's not wearing a shirt, you think, man, this cup of coffee is going to suck. And then whenever you get it, you're like blown away. You're like, whoa, this is great.
Yeah, so I'm asking, like, do you think that you would rather live in a world and a reality where everyone is encouraging everyone? Or would you rather live in a world where our expectations are high? Because you're communicating, like, I have a really high bar. I have a really high threshold of what I want. What is it that you're looking for in that? Like, because you're wanting to be validated, but it seems like you're only wanting to be validated by people that know what they're talking about.
If it's actually good.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Yeah. Like, what is good?
Yeah, good, I mean,
Stupid
is, especially with this, it does feel very subjective. I think, yeah, like, with this, I think it would mean more to me that I think it is good. Which probably is like, not the smartest, like, business mindset that, like, no, you want to appeal to your customers. I do think that if I think it was good, like, I do think that would appeal to other people. I do think people... I think I'm in the coffee world enough that I think people would then enjoy that. So I think that part of it is like, yeah, a big stamp of my approval. You did ask the question though of like, do I like where it's going? I thought about sharing this earlier. I was listening to this. I listen to a lot of sports talk radio, and I read a lot about sports. And it was just talking about. It was just talking about Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson's birthday was like a week ago or something, and they were just talking about like, would Allen Iverson be really impressive right now? Like growing up, like man, like part of it is you know you grow up, you realize like dang, like I watch Patrick Mahomes. I'm a big Patrick Mahomes fan. It's like man, I'm 6 years older than this guy. Does it feel weird that like I don't worship him, but like that I like you know I put him so high up on this pedestal. It can feel kind of weird whenever you're older. And kids, I think there's just so much wonder and awe like in athletes. But then talking about just kind of like the rise of like these debate shows on sports networks and LeBron. I get a lot of this living in Illinois now. I don't like LeBron. I don't really like Jordan that much either. And so it's like the only way, you know, it's always like the GOAT. Who's the GOAT? Who's the GOAT? Who's the GOAT? And so what it does is like we just diminish all their accomplishments, and it's just, are you the best? There's nothing good of like, man, I just like something that's just good. Like what we have to do is like we have to tear other things down to prop up like what we want. You know, I think I can do this personally. Like I think I do that all the time, and I think social media makes it a lot easier. But I think it spills into our life like maybe less obviously than it can show up online, because online, you know, there's anonymity. Is that it? Anonymousness.
Anonymity, I think is belief. I think that's how you'd say that.
That like in order to like elevate things, you have to rip other things down, and so maybe that helps us like not like be in awe, and not like watch this kind of you know, not be impressed by things, because it's like, oh well, it's not as good as this thing, so I'm gonna rip this down so I can continue to elevate this. Like that's all people do, is that they don't elevate Jordan anymore. They just rip down LeBron to show how high, you know, Jordan is, or vice versa.
But going back to my question, do you think that if everything was good, if everything was great, would that diminish greatness?
And I
like if we just called everything good and great, is that what you're talking about? Or
yeah, like, but if we truly believed it. Like for me in my reality, if I taste your coffee, it's going to be the best coffee I've ever had, because I don't know anything other than good. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but I mean it. I'm like, dude, this is the greatest.
I don't know if I think that is like the healthiest thing.
Sure,
but I think what we've done as a culture is that we tear down greatness to elevate other greatness. Like, I don't think I want, like, I just want to be able to say something is great, like, have that opinion, and then, not be ripped for it. And I think I would like to do that same thing to other people. And I think that's where I think our culture goes more so. Isn't that, like, there's not enough great things, or we don't have this mindset is that we tear down greatness to elevate other greatness.
Yeah. It's good, man.
I don't know. Like, I hope for you that you just think everything is great.
Yeah. That's just how I live my life. I like it. I like that about me.
Yeah.
I
like that about you, too.
Yeah, but it is hard. Like, I think the thing that I'm trying to get better at is to be more critical of people and critical of situations and circumstances. It's just hard for me. But I like the way that I am.
You just want everybody to get that participation trophy.
That's right, man. I like to exhort people, man. Everybody's a winner.
That's good.
Yeah, we're all just trying. We're just all trying.
We're just trying to live, laugh, or love.
That's right, man.
Maybe all of the above.
It's good.
That's what we're just trying to do. So this actually, what you were saying, Chuck, brought me back to this quote from Jerry Seinfeld, because in the middle of that quote, he's talking about this. He just wanted to be funny enough to survive on PB&J, right?
Yeah.
Because he said it was all he ate in his parents' house anyway, and even if that's all he had, it would be a better life than any other life he could imagine. I was more than happy to accept being a not that funny comedian over any other conceivable option. So would you would you rather be a not that good coffee roaster over, like, this is what I was thinking about, like a not that great coffee roaster over any other, like, what is your thing that you are like, this is the thing, I don't care if I don't have 4 houses and I only have 2 cats, as long as I'm doing this.
Right,
It's nothing personal. I'm just, it's all hyperbolic.
Guys, they're great cats.
They are the best cats ever. They're the greatest cats.
They are great cats.
Pie and Pig.
Shout out to Pie and Pig.
But, like, I think that's there's so much freedom, and whenever where you know where your lane is, that you could say, maybe you are pursuing greatness, or maybe you do want to be the best, but at the very end of the day, it's like, at least I'm doing the thing I was created to do.
Yeah.
I'm in my lane, and I have freedom there. Maybe I got 4 houses. Maybe I got 4 motor vehicles. Maybe I just got 2 cats. But at least I have that freedom.
Yeah, I would like to say that I'm struggling, but I do it. That I do want, like, I think that's what I was saying is that it brings out a lot of insecurity that, like, I think it can hold me back. I think I want to be okay with being a mediocre or just an average. Average sounds better than mediocre. I think they're both the same thing, but I would love to be. Not love to be, but, like, I want to be all right with being just an average coffee roaster, because I do find a lot of joy in learning about it and doing it. I do think that, like, wanting to be great can bring insecurity into my life.
Yeah, right. I definitely relate to that in in comedy, in pursuing comedy. Maybe, Christopher, you want to be the greatest pastor.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know.
The greatest magician, pastor.
You guys know me, so maybe you won't believe me when I say this. I try to be the best that I can be, but, like, the aspiration of being the greatest, it just doesn't appeal to me. I think I resonate with a lot of what you were communicating.
We're at 5, by the way. We got to hit 7.
Is that I want to be able to be okay with who I am and how I was created and what I'm gifted in, and I want to lean into that. But being the greatest, I don't know. Like, I don't have an aspiration to do that. So I'm just doing the things that I enjoy. I enjoy looking at homes and buying homes. It just happens to be that was a really good investment. I had no idea when I got into that. I didn't know that it was going to be a good investment. I had no idea, but I enjoy doing it. And I enjoy, Muncie is notorious for not being a great place to live. I enjoy buying crummy homes, fixing them up, and allowing people to live there and enjoy life, to live, laugh, and love. And I enjoy creating spaces and places to do that. And so the quest to be the greatest. I don't know. I don't know about all that. So being the greatest pastor, I don't even know what that looks like. I've seen a lot.
I don't think that you're on the quest to be the greatest pastor for Christians.
Yeah. So I just think, I'm just trying to be the best that I can be.
And you're trying to encourage people in their own greatness.
Yeah.
Or their own goodness.
Well, to engage in, I've been thinking about this word tov, which is a word
what is
for.
that? Oops, sorry.
It's a Hebrew word for good, for goodness. Tov, T-O-V. And for people just to engage in that, to like be in cultures of goodness. And so, I think I want to encourage people because I don't know, that's just what I'm good at. I'm good at encouraging people, and I'm leaning into that gift.
You're the greatest?
No, I don't think I'm the greatest encourager. Okay. I think I'm pretty good at encouraging people, and I enjoy doing it. But the example that I used earlier today with Brittany, it's really hard for her to just be continuously encouraged. So I get that. It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Would you like to take a moment to encourage Kyle and I?
Sure, of course. Kyle, one thing that I've even noticed here in this conversation that we're having together is just your vulnerability, man, and your willingness to be able to communicate like, oh, man, like life is hard. Or, these are the things that I've been thinking about and going through. And I appreciate that. Like, that's really hard to see in people. And I think when communities are having real conversations, there's deeper intimacy. And so I appreciate just our connection that we get to have and the times that we get to spend together because we have real authentic conversations. And I appreciate that about you, man. And you're just a lot of fun to be around. We were just hanging out and Kyle was like, I'm just going to go take a nap. And he went and took a nap. And
very fun.
I like that. That was just funny. Yeah, that was just fun. I like that.
Yeah, I got like 3.5 hours of sleep last night.
Yeah, sorry, man.
Dogs were a little
These
rebels.
dogs, man. We got 13 puppies here, so. Well, Mike, I just appreciate you for trying, man. I'm
just trying.
Yeah, I love
just
that.
trying to be a comedian.
I just think that you are. I don't know how this is the thing that came to my mind first. Is that you are a jack of all trades and a master of none, and you're just trying in a lot of areas of your life. And that is payback for Kyle for dogging on him this whole time. Okay. And so you're good at nothing.
Okay. All right.
I'll
receive that.
He's trying to work on being more critical.
Yeah.
I'll receive that.
I love you, man.
Jack of all trades, a master of none.
Yeah.
You're definitely a master of some.
Yeah, you're a master of some. I didn't mean to say none.
Oh, okay.
I was just trying to
help Kyle
because we've been dogging on him a little
I got you.
That's
Yeah.
And I do think that I just like, one, thank you, Chris. I
Yeah, of course, man.
But yeah, it's like, that's where I think more so that I was even going with like the sports debate is that I think we have this unhealthy approach to what is great.
Yeah.
But I don't think that doesn't mean that we shouldn't strive for greatness.
Sure.
Maybe just not to be the greatest. Like, I have realistically, like, I have no real chance of being the greatest roaster.
Sure.
The greatest pastor. What does that mean? The greatest comedian definitely seems
A little far-fetched at this
a little
point.
far-fetched, yeah. But yeah, what does it still be like? What does it mean to be great? And I think, what does it just mean to like? Man, I'm really proud of like what I did. I'm really proud of that, and I think that's what I want, and I think that's what we all want. Is like I think we want our friends to be proud of us, but I think we want the Lord to be proud of us, and I think we want to be proud of like the work that we do. So
It's good, man.
That's a good word, man. I really appreciate your guys' perspective on greatness. I didn't know where we were going to go, but it was a fun conversation.
The GOAT.
The GOAT.
yeah, this was really not where I thought we were going today, but it's great.
We got these mowers going now.
It's just that time, man.
It's that time of day, that 4:30 on a Saturday afternoon. You got to get mowing the lawn.
Amen. They just
5
got done with
o'clock
their naps, and now they're mowing.
Except in, what's that place that's on the 30? Doesn't matter.
What?
Oh yeah. I got
there's
you.
a
There's
a time zone.
Dubai is like 30 minutes or something behind us or something.
Yeah.
Or somewhere. Yeah.
They're out doing their own thing, man.
Just trying.
I told a friend that I was gonna have you on the podcast, Christopher, and they requested that you share the story of the worst day of your life.
Yeah. You want me to do that now?
Yeah, that'd be great. I think we would love to hear.
Yeah. I mean, I love that this is entertaining. You know, the worst day of my life is entertainment for everyone.
Yeah, that's right.
It makes me feel good.
Yeah, that's a big. That's a big. One of the lines that I've learned the most from is this comedian teacher Judy Carter. She wrote the book. She wrote the Bible on comedy, the New Comedy Bible. She has the Old Testament and the New Testament of comedy.
Is that okay?
What?
Is that kind of like blasphemous or something?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a joke.
Oh, I see. Joking about God.
Yeah. Well,
cool.
it's a joke about the Word of God.
Oh yeah.
God
Funny.
is not the Bible, but
Sure, but he's in it.
But he's in it.
Yeah.
Except the Book of Esther, he's not there. I'm just kidding.
True.
It's just harder to find him. Anyways, what she said is that one of her like big things is like turn your problems into punchlines. So that's why your the worst day of your life is so funny. You're turning your problems into punchlines.
Every day is a Friday. Shout out Joel Osteen. So yeah.
We just cut that.
Every day a Friday.
Hey man. Yeah, so when I was turning 21,
That just
right?
makes me think of us and freaking. It takes me back to freaking Glacier. And Chris is just waking up at 6 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Playing,
Do you remember that we were
I'm
staying
getting-
the night
I'm
in
getting a
Glacier?
call.
You were throwing the baked beans cans against the tree trying to open it, and you were beating it with a rock. And then we went to sleep, and you woke up, and you woke us up to playing a Joel Osteen sermon.
I don't remember that, but that
then,
sounds like me.
Then you ate raw coffee beans because you didn't want to wait for us to brew the cup.
It's crazy.
You've grown a lot since you've turned 21.
Thanks, man. Yeah, speaking of 21. So a few months before I turned 21, I got a call from a childhood friend, one of my best friends, actually. And I knew that he had just gotten engaged, and so I assumed that he was going to be asking me to be a part of his wedding party. And so he calls me, and he says, "Hey, man, how's it going? We're catching up. Hey, you know, Casey and I just got engaged. I was wondering if you wanted to be a part of our big day." And, you know, I'm honored. You know, I'm like, this is a childhood friend of mine. Of course, I would be honored to be a part of your day. And I said, yeah, man, I'd love to. What are you thinking? You know, of course, he's going to ask me to be a groomsman, maybe even a best man. I don't know. And he says, hey, I know that you and your family kind of help at the church a lot, and you guys are good cooks. Would you want to cater our wedding? And so, you know, of course, you know, I'm a 2, you know, on the Enneagram, and so how can I tell this guy no on his big day? So he says, yeah, man, we'd be honored to. Let me just double check with my parents to see if that's something that we could do. And so I get back with him, and we agree.
I didn't know you were a good cook.
Yeah, of course. I'm cooking, man. Look at him smoking some meat. You know, everything's going on. So anyway, I find out later that his wedding is on my 21st birthday. And I'm like thinking, okay, well, at least there's going to be an open bar. There's going to be alcohol at this wedding, at least, you know. No shot, man. I grew up Baptist. Guy's Baptist. We don't do alcohol, you know.
Yeah.
And so we're catering for this wedding on my 21st birthday, and it's just sad. You know, like, I'm sad. I'm, like, thinking that my 21st birthday would be different, and I'm celebrating a guy who's falling in love, getting married to the love of his life. I'm single. You know, I'm really insecure, just went through a bad breakup. So I'm just sad, you know. And so anytime that I would walk into the kitchen to help my parents with the catering stuff, they'd be like, hey, just go out and enjoy the wedding. You know, we don't want you to be distracted. So I went out, and I was just sad by myself because the only people that I wanted to hang out with was my parents. And so I'm just sad. You know, I can't do anything. I can't help. I'm just here. I just exist. And so after the wedding, we go home, and I'm sitting in my parents' living room, and I'm just sad. And my mom is like, happy birthday. You know, she's a lot like me and trying to encourage people. How was today? You know, like, this was 21st birthday, big 21. And I'm like, today sucked. She's like, what are you talking about? So we're unpacking that, and a few people had been texting me, and actually a few of my pastors when I was in college had texted me. I was a part of a campus ministry, and this might get them in trouble. I don't know, but this is a story, okay? And so they're texting me, and they're like, "How's your day, man?" And I'm just being authentic. I'm being who I am, and I'm like, "Man, today sucked." And they're like, "Well, how about when you get back up to Muncie, we'll teach you how to drink your problems away. You're old enough now."
They're obviously making a joke.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. In hindsight, yeah, funny. Yeah. And so anyway, I'm laughing about that, and of course I'd been a little sad, and so my mom's asking me like, "Why are you laughing? What's so funny?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing. Nothing." She's like, "Well, something obviously is funny," and she just wouldn't let it go, and she kept digging. And so I said, "Okay, Mom, a few of the pastors of the church were telling me that they're going to teach me how to drink my problems away," and she didn't think it was a joke. Okay, she thought it was very serious, and she said, "Well, why would your pastors joke about that? Alcoholism is rampant in this country. Like, why would they joke about that? These pastors who are mentoring you, why are they making light of alcoholism?" And so we went into this big old deal. And me being a 21-year-old man, you've mentioned that I've grown a little bit since I've turned 21. I became very defensive. And I felt like it was my job to defend these two men. And so I said, "You know what, Mom? I don't know what the big deal is. I don't know why you're making such a big deal out of getting drunk." I was like, "Don't you and Dad drink every once in a while? Don't you and Dad have hidden bottles of wine down in the refrigerator? You didn't think I knew about them?" And so she, I'm getting defensive. Now she's getting defensive. And now it's like we're scaling up. Like everything's getting a little bit more heightened. And she says, "Yeah, you know what? Yeah, we do. Me and your father, we drink the occasional glass of wine. You know why? Because it..." And now it's getting weird. At this point, it's getting weird. And I think she realizes that it got weird. And she gets up and she's embarrassed, of course. And she goes into her room.
So she's not going to listen to this podcast.
I hope not. Because I didn't ask for her permission before I shared this story.
She might be a little more embarrassed.
So,
to Mike's 15 viewers.
Yeah.
Oh,
dig.
2 cats, baby.
Jack all straights, man.
That's for the 2 cats. So anyway, it's just this weird tension now, okay? The tension is palpable. And I'm getting ready. I'm getting all my stuff ready because I was going to school at Ball State at the time. We're living in Louisville, Kentucky. And so I'm getting all my stuff. I got my car packed up, and I'm about to walk out of the back door, and my dad is sitting by the back door, a lot like you are sitting right now, leaned over. He's just waiting for me, just waiting. And he says, "You better not leave without telling your mother goodbye." I said, "Dad, of course. Why would I leave without telling Mom goodbye?" So I turned around and I walked into the room. This is no exaggeration. My mom is sitting on the bed in the fetal position, crying, rocking back and forth on the bed. It's not funny, man. My mom's having a hard time. Rocking back and forth. And I go up and, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a huge thing. And I put my arm on her and I kind of rub her back. It's kind of going back to the dog taking a dump while you're encouraging her. I said, "Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it happened this way, but I'm going back to school. I love you. I'll see you soon." And she looks up at me. I mean, her countenance was so bad, and she looks up at me, and she's crying. And she says, "I'm sorry that your father and I just weren't good enough for you on your 21st birthday. I'm sorry that today sucked." And, I think I'm pretty witty. And so I look at her, I said, "Mom, today was good. It wasn't terrible. There were a lot of worse ways to spend your 21st birthday celebrating somebody else falling in love." And I said, it wasn't really about that. I felt sad because any time that I wanted to go into the kitchen to help you and Dad with the wedding food, you told me to get out. And I didn't know that my dad was right behind me, and we talked a little bit that I would share the story, and so he uses some expletives. Expletives? What is that word?
Expletives.
Expletives. There we go. I'm from Kentucky, I'm just trying to English. And so he starts cursing up a storm. "That's bull crap. Get the heck out of my house. Get the heck out of my house." And he's just screaming at me. And I'm not a fighter. That might be surprising to you, but I'm very passive.
Yeah,
especially when things get like heightened.
Especially on the basketball court.
Especially on the basketball court. So I just instantly burst into tears. I'm like, what? I'm crying. I'm like, this is terrible. I just got kicked out of my parents' house. He's cussing at me, yelling at me. So I just walk out, you know. And so I'm walking out of the house, and I know that this is going to sound contradictory. There's a threshold to everything. There's a point to everything. So I'm walking out to my car. My dad runs in front of me and is standing in front of my car door. I can't get into the car. And he looks at me, and I look at him. And I just said that I'm not a fighter, but in this moment, I looked him in the eye. I just wanted to stir the pot because this is getting crazy. And I look him in the eye, and I look at him straight, like stone cold. And I say, don't you do anything you're going to regret. I said that to my father. And he goes off. He goes ballistic. He's screaming at me. And then I go back to crying, you know, and my mom's pulling him back. She runs out of the house. William, just let him go. Just let him go. And so she pulls my dad away from the car, and I get in, and I'm just crying. I can barely see. And I put my car in reverse, and I step on the gas just ever so slightly. And I hear the thump. I didn't know what I hit. And I don't look down into the driveway. I look at my parents. And both of my parents, their faces are just distraught. They're like, what just happened? My mom and dad, their faces are just wide open, mouth wide open. My mom just starts screaming, hyperventilating. And I didn't know what happened. And I looked down in our driveway, and our family dog, Buford, is laying still. I just ran over him twice. And I don't know how to respond. I don't know what to do. I panic. So I throw the car into drive, and I peel out of our driveway. And I get down the road, and I'm going so fast. And I don't even get a mile away from the house. My mom is calling me. And so I pick up, and she's screaming. She's hyperventilating. And so I'm on edge now. You know, I'm like, God, I'm like wanted for murder. You know, like my parents just kicked me out of the house, and then I just killed our family dog. So I start screaming at my mom. And I'm like, what do you want me to do, Mom? I'm not Jesus Christ. I'm not going to be able to lay hands on this dog and bring him back to life. You know, I'm like yelling at my mom about this. And she's like, you killed Buford. That's what she screams. And I didn't know what to do, so I hung up on my mom. I hung up on her, and I just kept driving. Because there's nothing I can do. I mean, this situation is just getting out of control. And luckily for us, luckily for my family, luckily for Buford, he didn't die, okay? And my parents, you know, we're from the hills of Kentucky. You know, we didn't grow up making a lot of money. So my parents didn't take him to the vet. They just kind of like helped nurture him back to life. And so he ended up living 4 years after he got ran over by my car. And he could never run straight. He could only run like a crab. This is no exaggeration. So you'd come home, you know, after my parents and I were fine now. We made amends. I've been in counseling ever since, and it's totally good. But anytime you'd come home, you'd be like, Buford, and he'd like run, but he'd run like a crab toward you. He'd like have to
like one of those new
circle
cars
around.
that can like park
Yeah,
themselves.
like sideways, like the Hummers. Yeah, like the crab Hummers. He'd do exactly that. And so Buford ended up being okay. You know, like what is great? You know, like he was good enough. Great. He was just operating under his.
Proud of him?
Yeah, I'm proud of him. I would tell him every day.
You got
rub
up today.
His back. Yeah, you got up today, Buford. Yeah, so that's the Buford story.
How did he get upstairs? Did he just kind of like run into the wall?
We had
you
to
have to
him.
pick him up. And
no,
then
we'd
he
have to pick him up.
Okay.
We'd have to pick him up. He never made it upstairs, unfortunately. But yeah, that's my Buford story, man. Sad. It was a sad day. I probably didn't talk to my parents for a couple months, 2 or 3 months.
But everything's good now.
What is good?
Yeah, what is good?
I mean, it goes back to the very beginning. I mean, yeah, we're fine. My mom, you know, I love you, Mom. If you're watching this, you know I do. But she'll bring up passive-aggressive comments like, remember when you ran over Buford? I don't know how passive-aggressive that is, actually. That's pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
But she'll be like, I can't believe...
Or does she think of it as funny now?
You would think. You know, because I think it's funny.
There's
it's
still
funny.
time.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that, man. I'm hoping. But no, she doesn't think it's funny at all. I mean, because she just had to clean up pee all the time. You know, he couldn't hold his bladder. He couldn't walk. I mean, for 4 years, you know. That's hard. It's a hard way to live.
Kyle, what made you more uncomfortable thinking about this story being recorded or watching the moment of truth last night, the episode with that.
You got to link that in the description, man.
That's a
It's
good
pretty
point. That's a good question. Good point. Last night was pretty uncomfortable. Yeah, especially watching it with our wives.
Do you believe that it's true?
I don't.
You don't think that episode was true?
I'll put the link to in the show notes of that episode, and he gives a warning, but I'll give a warning. It's very uncomfortable.
Wow.
The very first thing that guy does is give his wife a hug.
Oh, after I didn't catch
Yeah.
that.
Well, it's interesting because when you watch the interview with Mark Wahlberg, who is a host of the TV show, not the Wahlberg,
Not
that you're
Marky.
thinking-
Not
yeah,
Marky.
Not Marky Mark and the Funky
not
Bunch.
Marky Mark, the other Mark Wahlberg. He says that backstage, he was like, this family's so dysfunctional. And backstage, after they recorded everything, they were taking like group photos with Mark Wahlberg, the ex-boyfriend, the husband, and the wife. So the four of them were taking photos together and posting them on social media. He was like, this family doesn't get it. They don't understand.
Because what had happened was she had cheated on her husband with her ex-boyfriend. She confessed that she would rather be married to her ex-boyfriend than her current husband. In the show, that's like for
But
people.
we don't know that she cheated on him with the ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, it could have been.
Oh, it could have been somebody else. She
Yeah.
cheated on her husband with somebody else, and she confessed that she was in love with an ex-boyfriend the day that she got married, and that she would rather be with that ex-boyfriend than her current husband. All on television,
Live
supposedly
television,
live television
Yeah.
in front of her family and her husband.
And I think the craziest thing about that whole Moment of Truth episode is that her ex-boyfriend and her husband shared the same name, Frank.
Yeah, they're both Frank.
What do you think the possibility are that they're from Kentucky?
Pretty high, man. I mean, there's just a lot of dysfunction in Kentucky, man. I don't know what it is. The moonshine, maybe? I don't know.
Go Wildcats.
Go Wildcats, baby.
Is there anything? This has been just such. This has probably been the most interesting episode I've ever had of just
Is
trying.
that true?
To me,
Okay. Yeah, that's all relative.
just like it's interesting in the fact of like I had an idea of where it would go and it went somewhere completely different. I'm okay. I'm cool with it. I
you
like
have
it.
content for another episode.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I'm here for it. I think just to get a quick recap, we should install a draft into the Olympics of average Joes just to show how impressive it is. Like
Well, they
these
have a
crazy-
show like that, right? Like Shaq runs it, right?
Oh, there's a show that exists.
No.
It's already
Something
been
like
invented.
that Shaq hosts it, and it's like professional athletes going up against just average people and just smoking them.
Oh,
Really?
a similar concept, but it's not the Olympics.
Yeah, but it's like it's similar stuff. But I think Shaq
Sure.
runs it, or
Oh,
Shaq.
I never knew about
But
that.
I think it would make because the Olympic viewership is actually going down. I think how they
Oh, we
improve
gotta do
it
something.
is that we do a draft and like maybe your country gets selected and then everybody applies and then we like do like a lottery draft and like you get drawn, and if you end up if you end up not coming in last, you win $1 million. Like all you have to do
Yeah, you
is
get to
not come
train.
in last. Yeah, you get to train.
You get to train for like 6 months or something. They
Yeah,
pay you, and
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
and it's just like an average Joe, and then they get so many months to train, and if they come in not last, they gain $1 million.
And it'd be cool.
Or they
'cause
win $1 million.
They could make like a Disney movie out of it or something. You know? It'd be
Yeah,
But
good.
you're
I
the only average Joe in it.
You're the only like in each category. Each category has an average doe or bro in it.
What if there were two though? So then, because like I think that there
Because
would be
there's
people,
no way. I just don't
Yeah.
believe that anybody.
Nobody's
even just
gonna
training,
try.
even training for 6 months, unless you were doing something like,
You gotta have two.
yeah,
We have two.
Yeah, because then you're like, because then people could place bets on them. You know, like who's gonna win, like Argentina
uh-huh.
or Brazil.
because
Yeah.
I think given 6 months training, like there's no short of like if it's truly just a
Yeah,
draft
people
or
have
just like a
devoted their
random
lives
draw,
to it.
like you're not getting somebody that can actually compete with.
Well, it's gonna be like in like this age. Like you can't do it when you're 40,
Why
or maybe
not?
you could do it.
Yeah,
When you're
I just
40.
then
don't.
it
I
would be
think
like
even
a
as
Milan
like
moment.
even like just average 18-year-olds. Like
Yeah.
I don't think like to watch it, it'd have to be like realistic that somebody could get $1 million.
Yeah.
I think it's just so unrealistic. That,
What do you think? It's more likely that average Joe would not come in last, or a 16 seed beating a number 1 seed in the NCAA men's basketball tournament.
Oh, definitely 16 seed. Way more likely. I don't think an average Joe could play.
Yeah, I think that this is part of the problem. That like you think that an average Joe would be able to beat. I mean, that's why that goes
I'm
back
not
to
impressed.
The point.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, touche.
And I want to.
It'd be more so of like, let's have like leading up to the Olympics, let's have a mixture of these, like, hey, let's bring in some scrubs, let's bring in some not scrubs, and let's bring in these Olympians, or let's even bring in past Olympians, and let's have them go up against them.
That'd be cool.
Do it, or something like that, because like DK Metcalf, fastest, or probably the second fastest wide receiver in the NFL, trains for a while, is trying to make the Olympics, and runs like a 10-1, and that's the fastest man in the NFL, or the second fastest man in the NFL, and he wouldn't even sniff the Olympics.
Yep. Like, he couldn't even smell it, dude.
Like, he'd be able, like, he wouldn't place last in the Olympics, but he wouldn't even place in the top 8. And
he's a freak athlete.
Yeah. And so it's like, I do agree that like that maybe we don't like recognize greatness or whatnot. I definitely agree with those things. But yeah, I just don't think that an average person could get even close.
And I think that it would be cool, going back to this thing, because I don't want to get persecuted for this, but I said that there could be like a cool Milan moment. So you get your grandfather picked out of the lottery. You could then...
Are you just wanting to start like the Hunger Games?
Be like, hey, actually, I want to go in tribute of my grandfather. Yeah. I volunteer to go for my grandfather. And
then we like murder them or something.
Yeah, we could kill them at the end. That'd be cool.
It's like a cross between like Squid Games and the Hunger Games. That is wild. Like that's what Chris is wanting to start.
You don't have to kill him, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, Kyle is about to go take his third nap of the day. We're just wondering, is there anything that you wished I would have asked you?
That's a really good question.
Like how my day is going. You just never.
I've just been ripping you. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
How do you feel about all that, Kyle?
What? That Mike never asked me how my day.
No, like I feel like he was kind of harsh with you, like kind of ripping on you a little bit. You okay with that?
Yeah, I'm great with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I love my cats. They're great.
I love your cats too, man.
And I'm seeing a counselor anyways about how maybe my life hasn't turned out exactly the way that I would have hoped that it has. And so we're all good.
That's a great segue into this week's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. BetterHelp does not sponsor this podcast. We've talked about counseling so much.
I didn't even know what BetterHelp was, so I was like,
I didn't either.
Well, it's like this really cool thing that you can.
I was like, I'm not like that.
Like BetterHelp, it's like this online counseling service. You can like craft, like you can get like it's like easy to get into counseling, and it's like pretty affordable, I guess. BetterHelp, if you want to, if you want to sponsor this, I'll put the link in the show notes.
Yeah.
You can get 20% off your first 5 visits to BetterHelp.
Mental health is cool.
This is just mental health is cool. That's just a joke, folks. There's no promo codes for that yet. But anything else? Kyle, how was your day?
Oh, it was decent. I slept terribly, but my nap was good.
Yeah, I feel like that has been and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But I feel like that has been the word of this visit.
This visit to Muncie has been decent.
Yeah, decent. Yeah, everything's just decent.
We had pizza, decent.
Yeah, it was cool.
I'm hoping this meat is good though.
Which one? The smoked meat?
Yeah, we're smoking some
decent.
Oh, those tacos last night were good.
The tacos last night were decent.
No, they were good.
Thank you.
The tour, good. Us trying to prank people by showing up at their house at 9:30.
That was really funny.
That was funny.
Decent.
No, today's just been decent. Mike messed the coffee up.
Yeah.
We had to put the grill together. I took 8 naps. Our wives
I've had fun.
God knows what.
I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've had fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
I don't know what I was gonna. I had a thought. I had a question, but yeah, I just forgot. I'm sorry, man. It was actually going to be a really good point.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Thank you so much for enjoying this. Thank you so much for enjoying. Thank you so much for just like that one time when I was doing communion and I just kept saying if
you are not a Christian, you can't take it.
I just get stuck on repeat sometimes. You ever just get stuck in your own loop? Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate. We couldn't do with what we do here with Just Trying to Podcast without listeners like you, especially supporters of the podcast. Thank you so much to this week's supporter of the podcast, Janelle Becker. Here's a word from Pajani herself.
My name is JB, and I love Mike. I just want to say that he is the wrecking ball of Seattle because he be hitting them cars. He loves the Chiefs while wearing briefs. He's a beggar after marrying Megger. His car is a beater, but that potty a feature. Mullet so bad, barbers think it's a joke. Stash so dirty, it scares the birdies. His bench is a joke because he ain't lifting those Washingtons. His podcast is the bomb because he be bombing shows. Someone tell him to listen to Shia LaBeouf and just do it. Stop trying. Y'all, Mike's potty saved my dog's life. Donate some money so Mike can feed some kids.
Moving words, Pajani. Thank you so much for being a supporter of the podcast. Again, if you'd like to do that, you can check out the link in the show notes or go onto Spotify or the website MikeTonyHeath/podcast.
Do you think that your voice has sounded worse since you became a Chiefs fan because of Patrick Mahomes?
Hey guys, I can't even do his thing. Hey,
You think that's like a shtick, or do you think that's actually his voice?
That is definitely his voice. I don't
Because
know.
I feel like
what does
if
he have
was
to gain by making that his shtick?
what
What does he have to gain?
we're talking about him, right? I mean that's what he becomes more
That's what he
relevant.
has to gain.
He becomes more relevant.
Yeah, you don't think his game makes him more relevant?
That helps. But
That
I don't think that
helps.
we would be talking about him right now if it was just related to football. So now more people are talking about Patrick Mahomes because of his voice.
The only reason people talk about Patrick Mahomes is because of his
No,
voice,
I'm
not
not-
because of his talent.
No, I'm not saying
No,
that, but now
he's
he
saying
has
that
two.
His particular conversation
Yeah, exactly.
about Patrick Mahomes would not exist without his voice, and so therefore that is quantifying how it is making him
Yeah.
more relevant. Negative. So let's play some football.
That was perfect. 10 out of 10, baby. I love what you're cooking up. We're just gonna cut this section. We're gonna drop this right in the middle of the episode. So it'll be
weird.
It'll be right after the supporter highlight, where I highlight a supporter of the podcast. We're gonna just drop that in, and then we're gonna keep going after.
Oh, I
it.
thought you were gonna highlight one of your supporters.
Oh, not one of my ministry
Yeah.
partners. No,
Yeah.
no. I should do that. You're welcome to support me in both ways.
Shout out to Tom.
Yeah, Tommy boy. If Tom listened to this, that'd be awesome.
Have you told him about it?
I haven't told him. I'll tell him this week about Just Trying to Podcast.
Love it.
But I'm gonna do my
You've
intro.
really never told this man about your podcast.
Actually, I have. Yeah.
Okay, I would have been absolutely blown
I
away that you have not. That you would not. I feel like you tell everybody that you're podcasting.
That's what podcasters do.
Just trying to.
Just trying to podcast.
.com or?
Oh yeah, there's a .com. MikeTonyHeath.com/podcast.
No shot.
Yeah, look it up.
No, I think the .com goes very last.
Like Mike Tony Heath /podcast.com.
The link will be in the show notes. We're not sure how it goes, but I do have a show coming up July 12th at Laughs Comedy Club. This is not my first, not my second, but my third audition, number 3.
Wow.
Shout out to what's his face?
Shout out to Suresh.
Yeah, Suresh.
Suresh Nama.
Suresh.
You can check him at Laughs Comedy Club as well.
He's hilarious.
He's hilarious. The funniest Indian guy I know.
Whoa. Okay. Cool.
I mean,
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't saying
he's
anything.
great.
Yeah. I
He's
believe
my
it.
favorite Indian comedian.
What about your
Then,
favorite
what's his
comedian?
face? Oh, I don't know if he's Indian.
All right.
What's,
Yeah, July
what-
12th.
What's Tom? Tom Haverford.
Oh, Tom Haverford. Yeah.
He's pretty funny.
Yeah, but I like Suresh more than Tom.
Okay.
This has been great.
I feel like this took a turn.
Took a turn, baby. July 12th. That's a Wednesday at Laughs Comedy Club. Link in the show notes or the link in any of the bios on my Instagram. I like people aren't going to see what that noise was. They're just going to hear that clapping of skin. And This has been fun.
I was spanking Chris.
As always, my friends, stay funny and stay weird. Peace. Great shot.